Let's find the formula to calculate the volume of a rectangular prism. Rectangular prisms are everywhere. A cereal box is a rectangular prism. So is a deck of cards, a stick of butter, a stack of printer paper, and even a block of cheese. Those are all examples of rectangular prisms. Now, in order to help us figure out the formula so that we can find the volume of a rectangular prism, let's do a bit more exploring. Let's take a look at the different pieces of a rectangular prism. Well, a prism is a solid figure with two bases that are exactly the same size and shape. A rectangular prism is a prism that has bases that are both rectangles. So if we take a look at this prism, this rectangle on the top is one of the bases. So let's label that. Then, the rectangle on the bottom that's the exact same size and shape is the other base. Cool. If we look at this point here, where all of these sides connect, that is a vertex. And if we take a look where two sides meet, this entire piece here is called an edge. Great. Now, how could we figure out the volume of a rectangular prism? Well, what is volume again? Volume is the amount of space that something takes up. So we're trying to figure out how much space this rectangular prism is taking up. So think back to one of those examples, a stack of printer paper. A stack of printer paper looks like a block, but it's really a bunch of thin pieces of paper stacked on top of each other. So what if we took this rectangular prism and cut it into a bunch of slices, made a bunch of layers? So here, if we still look at this like a stack of printer paper, it does look like a stack. But if we look closer, we see all the individual pieces of paper. So we have all of these pieces of paper that are the exact same size. They're a bunch of rectangles stacked on top of one another. So we could use that to maybe figure out the volume. We know how to find the area of a rectangle, a single piece of paper. Then we could take all of those areas and put them together to get the volume. So let's go ahead and take a look at doing that. So let's say that this is a stack of printer paper. It makes a rectangular prism. Let's see if we can calculate the volume of this rectangular prism. Well, remember, this stack of printer paper is really made up of a bunch of pieces of printer paper. And a standard piece of printer paper is 11 inches long and 8.5 inches wide. Let's take a close look at just one of those pieces of paper. So if we lay out just one of those pieces of paper, here's what it would look like. We have a length of 11 inches and a width of 8.5 inches. Let's go ahead and find the area of this piece of paper. Well, it's a rectangle, and to find the area of a rectangle, we take the length times the width. The length is 11 inches and the width is 8.5. So to find the area of just one piece of printer paper, we take 11 inches times 8.5 inches. When we do that, we end up with 93.5 inches squared. We're talking about area, and area has squared units, so we need to make sure to have inches squared. Great! This is the area of just one piece of paper. Now to make up this entire stack of paper, this rectangular prism, we stack those pieces of paper on top of one another. So to find that volume, we could combine all of those pieces of paper together, all of those areas. Well, if we do that, we end up with a stack that's 2.5 inches tall. That's the height. So we can take the area of just one of those pieces of paper and multiply that by the height of the entire stack, and that will give us the volume of the entire stack of paper. If we take 93.5 inches squared times 2.5 inches, we end up with 233.75 inches cubed. If we take inches squared times inches, that gives us inches cubed. And volume has units that are cubed, so we need to make sure to cube those units. This is the volume of the stack of printer paper, the volume of the rectangular prism. So let's go ahead and see if we can take what we've done here and generalize it into a formula that we can use to find the volume of any rectangular prism. Well, what did we do? First, we took the area of just one of those pieces of paper. But notice what that is in the rectangular prism. That is the area of this rectangle here, the area of one of the rectangular bases. So to find the volume, we can find the area of one of the rectangular bases, and then we can multiply it by the height. The same thing we did here. After we found the area of just one piece of printer paper, we multiplied that by the height in order to get the volume. So if we want to find the volume, V, of a rectangular prism, we can find the area of just one of the rectangular bases and then multiply that by the height of the entire prism. And we can actually generalize this further. The area of the base will always be length times width. This is a rectangular prism, so the bases are always rectangles. So we can take the length times the width, and the height is h. So if we want to find the volume of a rectangular prism, we can use this formula, length times width times height. And this will work for any rectangular prism, not just a stack of printer paper. So now we found the formula we were looking for. To find the volume of any rectangular prism, take the length times the width times the height.